Unexpected barista solves a guest's problem in 6 languages revealed as a billionaire CEO. Sarah stood behind the espresso machine, a routine she memorized like the back of her hand. The warmth of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, along with the familiar chatter of regulars who had become her family. But today felt heavier. Her anticipation over the new business opportunities lingered, clashing with Mr. Jenkins' unwavering reluctance to embrace change. As she prepared another latte, her gaze landed on the door. The sound of the bell triggered a flicker of excitement, quickly overshadowed by concern when a businesswoman rushed inside, clearly flustered. The woman's brow furrowed, her fingers gripping an array of documents in multiple languages. Sarah felt a surge of empathy. She recognized the stress that came with ambition. "Is everything all right?" she asked softly, instinctively leaning forward, ready to help. The woman took a breath, pausing for a moment before pouring out her worries about a deal disintegrating due to a language barrier. As the businesswoman spoke, Sarah felt an unexpected urge to jump into action. Her own fears were muted by the need for connection. Flipping through her own mind's catalog of languages, she stepped up. "I can help," she exclaimed, the rush of adrenaline invigorating her. Spanish, French, Mandarin. She tossed words back and forth until the tension in the air eased, hope flickering in the woman's eyes. A moment of clarity washed over Sarah, illuminating an exciting possibility, that this woman was tied to a coffee shop expansion. But would there be room for her beloved shop beneath corporate interests? The juxtaposition of impending growth against the vulnerability of a small establishment struck deep. Mr. Jenkins faced pressures that felt insurmountable, yet her insights felt equally important. She shouldn't have to choose between loyalty to him and her own dreams, but as she weighed her next steps, doubt coiled tightly in her chest. Did she have the right to push for change? Her voice seemed small against the brewing storm of gentrification swirling outside the cozy confines of the shop. Each time Sarah broached the topic with Mr. Jenkins, she could see his expressions tighten, that stubbornness closing ranks around his heart. Her own desires clashed with his safe, stagnant vision. Would she risk everything, her job, her community ties, just for the sake of aspirations that hovered just out of reach? Before they could continue, Sarah remembered something important. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The swirl of thoughts intensified as Sarah returned her focus to the present. Her heart ached at the edges of her knowledge. Just as she wrestled with her ambitions, an article silently waited on her desk, revealing a lineage she had no idea existed: a coffee empire. Was it pure coincidence, or was it destiny pushing her toward a path to uplift not just herself, but her community? As the shop hummed around her, Sarah's mind raced. Action loomed like an ungraspable shadow, anxiety and anticipation commingling within her. She had the chance to confront Mr. Jenkins. Could she advocate not just for herself, but for the life she envisioned? Inhaling sharply, she steeled herself. Every moment grew heavier, setting the stage for an inevitable confrontation that could either solidify her future or shatter her current reality. The bell jingled, and every fiber of her being ignited with the potential for change ahead. Standing in the midst of her bustling coffee shop, Sarah felt the weight of her thoughts crashing together in disarray. The bell chimed again, and she instinctively glanced toward the door, her heart racing with questions about the future. Just moments ago, she had been deeply engrossed in contemplating the path before her, the balance between loyalty to Mr. Jenkins and the emerging vision she couldn't shake. She wiped down the counter absent-mindedly, her mind replaying the encounter with the businesswoman. With each cloud of steam that billowed from the espresso machine, she recalled the way her words had transformed the woman's stress into relief. What if she could wield that same ability to influence her own environment? But as empowering as that thought felt, a creeping anxiety threatened to undo her resolve. Did she truly believe she could change her fate, or was it just a fleeting illusion? Approaching the back office, she could hear Mr. Jenkins' muffled voice through the thin walls, his discussions with potential investors growing tumultuous, brimming with hesitation. The thought of barging in weighed heavily on her, yet the siren call to advocate for change was undeniable. She should be a partner in the evolution of this business, not just a barista. Taking a deep breath, Sarah pushed the office door open. Mr. Jenkins looked up, surprise etched across his features. "Sarah? Is there something you need?" he asked, his voice laced with vulnerability masked as anxiety. "Actually, yes. I think we need to talk," she responded, her tone steadier than she felt. "About the cafe's future." Jenkins' expression hardened slightly, as though he braced for a storm. "Now isn't the time, Sarah. We have enough pressures without adding no, we need to address this," she pressed, emboldened by the memory of the businesswoman's panic and her own desire for something more. "You've shared your vision for keeping everything just the way it is, but look at what's happening around us. Look at how that opportunity walked in just today." His brow furrowed deeper, as if she thrust a dagger into the very foundation of his beliefs. "And you think a glossy corporate expansion is the answer? This shop is more than just profits to me. It's our home." Her resolve wavered but held. "But it could also become a home for more, for so many others in our community. We don't have to compromise our values to grow. We can do it together." The room crackled with tension, their futures hung in the balance. She watched Mr. Jenkins consider her words, the air thick with doubt. Then, to her surprise, he leaned back in his chair, an introspective gaze softening his rigid demeanor. "And what makes you so sure you can steer us into that future?" She hesitated, the uncertainty uncoiling in her chest. But she had clung to the truth revealed in the whisper of her heritage, the potential wrapped around her bloodline. "Because," she said softly, allowing the moment to settle, "I'm not just a barista. I discovered that I might be part of a much larger legacy." The silence stretched long and thin, the implications of her words sinking in like heavy stones. Mr. Jenkins studied her, the tension between them palpable, yet tinged with an undercurrent of intrigue. "Are you suggesting," he began, then faltered, as if the thought was too big to fit within his current perception. "Yes. I am," she affirmed, a spark igniting in her chest. This was her threshold, and she felt the pressure of destiny pushing her forward. But the ground wasn't stable yet, another wave of doubt crashed over her. How far would she have to go to prove herself? The realization that change invited resistance sent a shiver down her spine. As she prepared to take her next stand, the bell chimed once more, signaling yet another visitor, but this time, Sarah felt a weight of uncertainty lingering, pregnant with the promise of either breakthrough or disaster. The moment hung in limbo, poised on the cusp of transformation. Decision loomed ahead, the time had indeed come to face not just Mr. Jenkins but the weight of her own legacy. What other truths did she still need to uncover before she could step into the role destiny had designed for her? The bell chimed again, and Sarah turned her gaze to the door, momentarily disrupted from the weight of her confrontation with Mr. Jenkins. The air was thick with unresolved tension, but the presence of a new customer jolted her into action. She took a moment to collect herself, straightening her apron as she prepared to fulfill her role. Despite the tumult brewing in her mind as the customer approached, Sarah could hardly focus on their order. Instead, the discussion she had just fought through lingered as a gnawing echo in her consciousness. Could she truly step up and assume leadership? The vision she had for the cafe illuminated her heart, but self-doubt loomed like a storm cloud. "Can I get a mocha latte, please?" a woman with striking features asked, her voice slicing through Sarah's reverie. "Of course," Sarah replied, forcing a smile while steam hissed from the espresso machine. She focused on the task, pouring the rich, chocolatey mixture with precision, but her mind was still grappling with Mr. Jenkins' skepticism. The woman thanked Sarah and leaned a bit closer, a look of curiosity crossing her face. "You seem distracted. Everything all right?" A flicker of hesitation sparked within Sarah. Should she confide in a stranger? Just thinking about my future, she said, dismissing it as casually as she could. The woman raised an eyebrow but didn't press further. Instead, she brushed a strand of hair behind her ear and changed the subject. You know, I'm actually here looking for a good business opportunity. Her voice lowered conspiratorially as if sharing a secret. The market is shifting, and I believe collaboration is key. The words resonated with Sarah. She couldn't help but see parallels in her own thoughts about the cafe. I agree, she said, her pulse quickening as she considered the idea. I think businesses can grow without losing their essence. The woman smiled, intrigued. Have you ever thought about stepping beyond your current role? There's potential in people who have fresh ideas and the drive to implement them. It felt like a validation of her earlier thoughts. Sarah felt a flicker of the courage that she desperately needed. Actually, I've been thinking of ways I could help improve the cafe. Really? The woman leaned in further, her interest piqued. You should know that ideas are powerful currency. Are you, perhaps, in a position to execute change? Sarah hesitated, caught between the recent encounter with Mr. Jenkins and this unexpected validation. Not yet. I'm still figuring things out. The woman's gaze hardened slightly, her demeanor shifting from casual to calculating. Then you need to be ready when the time comes. Take charge of your narrative. Change doesn't come from waiting. It comes from those willing to seize the moment. As the woman finished her drink, Sarah felt the weight of her message. There was a freedom in claiming her narrative, yet it was deeply unsettling. How much of her identity hinged on this cafe? How could she lead if her own foundation was shaky? The shop buzzed around her, a dance of sounds and smells, but only the exchange with the woman seemed to pulse with energy. Just before the woman turned to leave, she subtly slipped a business card onto the counter. Reach out when you're ready to turn ideas into actions, she said, leaving Sarah to contemplate the implications of her words. The bell chimed again as the door swung shut, muffling the noise outside. Sarah stood frozen for a heartbeat, staring at the card, her resolve sparked anew but still vulnerable. The realization tugging at her was undeniable. She had not just tasted the potential of her own legacy, she had been pushed into the fray of it. As she grappled with the shift in perspective, Mr. Jenkins' voice echoed in her mind, once again turning the questions of loyalty and growth over like pieces of paper in a breeze. How could she blend the drive for change with the respect for tradition? The tension of the past clashed with the momentum of the future, but now, Sarah recognized one indisputable truth: it was within her reach. Time stretched in the cafe as she looked at the card. These moments did not just require bravery, they demanded execution, a chance to turn whispers of potential into a crescendo of achievement. Yet, as her mind raced with possibilities of what she could create, she knew she had to confront Mr. Jenkins again. The stakes were higher now, and the clock was ticking. Would she muster the courage to not only advocate for change but to embody it? The opportunity to face her own crossroads loomed, unveiling a deeper layer of challenge. Would she step into this role she had only begun to understand, or would the weight of doubt pull her back again? The afternoon sun poured through the cafe windows, casting playful shadows across the tables. The comforting aroma of freshly brewed coffee hung in the air, but instead of finding solace in it, Sarah felt unsettled. The woman's words murmured in the back of her mind, compelling her to embrace the change she had long considered. Could she truly take the plunge? Sarah turned her attention back to her duties, but even the daily grind lost its familiarity. As she prepared drinks and took orders, she analyzed every movement, each gesture serving as a reflection of her self-doubt. She exchanged pleasantries with regulars, her laughter floating like a fragile promise, masking the tempest beneath. Suddenly, she was jolted from her reverie by the bell above the door. Mr. Jenkins entered, his presence filling the room with an authoritative air that reactivated her anxiety. His eyebrows knitted in a frown as he approached the counter. Despite wanting to turn away, she found her feet rooted to the ground, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Sarah," he said, scanning the cafe with hawkish eyes. "We need to discuss the new supplier." The beans we're using lack consistency. His tone was clipped, as if he expected her to fall in line without question. I understand, but I believe we should explore options that align better with our vision, she replied, surprising herself with the steadiness of her voice. What do you mean? His gaze sharpened, evident irritation flickering across his features. Taking a deep breath, Sarah felt the spark of the earlier conversation igniting a fire within her. I think quality and sustainability are paramount. Maybe we should consider local suppliers who align with our values. Mr. Jenkins blinked, caught off guard. This is the first I'm hearing of this. Sarah swallowed hard, weighing her next words. I met someone who suggested collaboration could expand our reach. If we don't adapt, we risk becoming stagnant. A tense silence filled the space between them. She could see his internal conflict. It was a moment laden with risk. The ramifications of her statement flickered in her mind, potential pitfalls rushing like shadows. Was she challenging authority or simply advocating for growth? Change isn't easy for people like us, Sarah, he remarked, his tone softening. You think you can advocate for our customers while we're managing our supply chain effectively? The question echoed, emphasizing her internal turmoil. Did she possess the right to patchwork her ideas into his traditional framework? It's not an all-or-nothing approach, Mr. Jenkins. We owe it to ourselves to listen and innovate. Her heart raced as she felt something shift, determination surged against a backdrop of doubt. This wasn't merely about coffee beans. It was about carving her identity in a landscape where she could feel her voice becoming more resolute. I can set up meetings with prospective suppliers, she continued, fueled by a sense of agency. I'll gather data and present a proposal. If we stand together, I think we can turn this cafe into something really special. His expression faltered, real consideration creeping into his eyes as he processed her words. There was a lengthened pause before he finally nodded. All right, I'm willing to hear your proposal. But it has to be backed by facts. No fluff. As she watched him leave, exhilaration coursed through her veins, counteracting the cold dread of doubt. This wasn't just a confrontation, it was a pivotal moment. She had taken a stand. Yet, a gnawing question lingered, was she truly ready to embrace the responsibilities that came with leading? The dance of confrontation had opened doors, but bravery had to wed action to effectuate change. What if her foray into leadership exposed her limits instead of breaking them? With her pulse still racing, Sarah grabbed a pen and notepad, already drafting a plan, inspired by the woman's challenge of taking charge. The cafe felt alive with possibilities, echoing the thoughts brewing in her mind. Each stroke of her pen was deliberate, driven by a newfound resolve, shaping her aspirations into tangible realities. Decisions loomed larger than the brewing coffee around her, and with each choice she made, Sarah realized she was stepping cautiously into a world designed for those brave enough to claim it. But would this momentum carry her through the inevitable challenges ahead? Her heart weighed against the evolving uncertainty, aware that a threshold had been crossed. A decision lay ahead, calling for her to balance ambition with her core beliefs, to find a way to innovate while honoring the roots she deeply cared for. As she finalized her plan, the door chimed, paving the way for another customer. Each moment now felt electric, charged with potential. But amid this frenzy of inspiration, she had a critical realization gnawing at her. The stakes were higher than she had initially envisioned, setting the stage for a decisive confrontation looming on the horizon. Could she truly bridge the gap between tradition and transformation? The following morning came too quickly, sunlight breaking through her curtains like an uninvited guest. Sarah stirred awake, her heart still echoing the thrill of the previous day's confrontation with Mr. Jenkins. As she rubbed the sleep from her eyes, a deep-seated anxiety nestled within her, pushing her thoughts to race faster than she could catch them. Was she truly capable? Did she have the insight necessary to propose a better supplier? With a half-hearted resolve, she swung her legs off the bed and stood, willing herself to shake off the looming doubts. Today was going to be different, it had to be. The idea of empowering her cafe was thrilling, but it also scared her. The weight of responsibility pressed down, heavy like the last coffee beans trapped at the bottom of a bag. As she made her way to the cafe, a new plan began unfolding in her mind. She wasn't just going to approach it academically, she had to embody change. Sarah decided to connect with local suppliers but also delve into what customers wanted. Perhaps if she grasped their tastes and preferences, it could push her proposal over the edge. Through the morning rush, she navigated orders with newfound agility, engaging each customer not just about their drink choices but their opinions on sustainability, ethical sourcing, and quality. One regular, a soft-spoken artist, opened up about her passion for local farms and how their produce was always fresher and infused with more flavor. Inspired by their chat, Sarah stringently took notes, her heart pounding with the urgency of revelation. Every conversation was a tether to her mission, each customer a stepping stone towards her proposal's foundation. She sensed her confidence burgeon with each connection made, each story shared. Ideas spun in her mind like a barista's perfect whirl of milk. She began seeing patterns, values shared among her community. By midday, Sarah felt buoyed by palpable enthusiasm. She dove into her laptop during a lull, researching local suppliers with vigor. There was a sense of purpose now intertwining with her ambition, bridging her personal aspirations with the desires of her customers. If this proposal succeeded, it would evolve the cafe, create flavor profiles uniquely their own, and champion local businesses. A win-win. As the afternoon turned, however, Mr. Jenkins returned, his presence no longer just an authority but a critical mentor. He eyed Sarah's scattered notes and the colorful printouts on the counter. "So, you've been busy," he commented, arms crossed, a hint of challenge lacing his tone. "I didn't just gather facts, Mr. Jenkins. I engaged with our regulars, listened to their insights. They want change, and they want to be part of this cafe's narrative," she asserted, her voice steady, though her insides threatened to tremble. "Interesting approach. I hope you realize that feelings alone won't sway our suppliers," he replied, skeptical yet intrigued, lifting an eyebrow as if to challenge her resolve. "I don't just think this is about feelings. It's about creating a brand that resonates with our customers. We can showcase quality coffee and ethical farming, which in turn can drive sales." She felt the mounting pressure of her plan seeping into the moment, electrifying the air around them. His expression flickered as he leaned in closer, intrigued, but still guarded. "All right, I'll bite. Present your findings. But be prepared, I won't go easy on you." It was a daunting challenge, igniting butterflies in her stomach. The stakes felt higher now, edges sharper. She wasn't merely presenting a proposal but staking her identity as a leader in this cafe, a voice that required validation as much as action. As Mr. Jenkins moved to leave again, an unsettling realization dawned. Was she truly ready for this confrontation with him? Would he accept her vision? With her insides swirling in a combat of anxiety and determination, Sarah took a resolute breath. She was preparing for the next phase, however daunting it seemed. The responsibility of envisioning change now rested firmly on her shoulders. Today wasn't just another workday. It was the beginning of a transformative journey, one that could illuminate pathways previously considered too dark to tread. Yet, the looming shadow of potential rejection remained, its grip tight enough to make even the most brash daring feel like a fragile step on a high wire. Because what if, after everything, her boldness crumbled under scrutiny? With her heart racing, she glanced at the clock. It was time to confront the truth, and for Sarah, that meant facing an audience that would either embrace her vision or shatter it. With the clock ticking relentlessly in front of her, Sarah's pulse quickened. She could practically feel the seconds slipping away like sugar granules in a brewed cup of coffee, each one reminding her of the impending confrontation with Mr. Jenkins. The cafe hummed around her, alive with the chatter of customers and the hissing of espresso machines, but all she could hear was her own heart hammering in her chest. She poured herself a double shot of espresso, allowing the rich aroma to fill her senses. Caffeine would sharpen her, cut through the anxiety clinging to her thoughts like fog. But as she sipped, Her gaze drifted to the gathering storm outside the window. Dark clouds drifted overhead, a perfect mirror to her swirling inner state. Was she a rainstorm ready to unleash her fury, or merely the drizzle of indecision that promised nothing? With each sip, she reminded herself of the discoveries she'd made over the past few days. Armed with insight straight from the heart of her customers, she started jotting down key points for her proposal. Fresh, local, and ethical, she muttered under her breath, molding the refrain that had become almost a mantra, a battle cry in her quest. But what if those ideals didn't resonate the way she hoped? As the door swung open, a gust of wind announced Mr. Jenkins's arrival. He strode toward her, hands tucked in his suit pockets, a juxtaposition of crisp professionalism against the intimate chaos of the café. She focused, pushing aside the gnawing fear creeping back in. She couldn't back down now, too much was at stake. "Are you ready?" he asked, his tone both encouraging and sardonic, as if he reveled in her uncertainty. "I am," Sarah replied, her jaw clenched. "But I think you'll see more than what you expect." The word surprised even her, but felt like a necessary shield against his towering presence. "Let us see what you have." He motioned towards the small meeting corner in the back. Bursting with emotions swirling like the steam from an espresso, she followed. As they settled at the table, her mind raced through her notes. She had gathered statistics, testimonials, and ideas, yet in this moment, it felt as if everything could collapse like a poorly crafted soufflé. A sense of urgency surged through her. She had to be succinct but persuasive. "First, I spoke with our regulars, the mural artist, the students, and the writers who fill our seats day after day," she began, her voice steadying slightly with each word. "They want more than coffee, they want to feel connected to where their food comes from and how it impacts the world." She paused, gauging his reaction. A soft glimmer of interest flickered in his eyes, but his expression remained guarded. "I also looked into some local suppliers," she continued, opening her laptop to display her research. "Each of them prioritizes sustainability and contributes to our local economy. We have a unique opportunity to differentiate ourselves in a market saturated with generic brands." As she spoke, something within her transformed. The initial apprehension shifted into passion, her words punctuated with fervor. She laid out the supplier options, each presentation matched with a compelling story, a real person behind the brand. The cloud of anxiety began to disperse, as newfound confidence took root. Jenkins leaned forward, finally showing engagement. "This is a solid start, Sarah, but how do you plan to implement this? Change is often resisted, especially in established systems," he said, his tone shifting to that of a mentor rather than a critic. That question hovered in the air, and Sarah faced it head-on. "By integrating feedback loops with our customers and fostering dialogue with suppliers to cultivate relationships. We'll ensure that change feels organic, not forced." A silence engulfed them, pregnant with possibilities. Their eyes locked as if in a duel of wills. Her heart surged at the realization that this proposal wasn't merely about coffee, it was about redefining her identity within the café, about forging new paths not just for herself but for the team and community around her. "I have more to flesh out," she said firmly. "But the essence is clear: this café can be a leader, not just in profit but in purpose." The weight of those words swelled in the small space, mingling with the heady aroma of fresh coffee. But even as determination coursed through her veins, doubt lingered like an unwelcome specter. Would he truly back her vision? Or was she merely clutching at straws in an uncertain storm? Just as she braced for his response, the café door swung open again, a cold wind cutting through the room, sweeping away her momentary solace. The tension escalated as a shadow fell across the table, obscuring the future she dared to imagine. What now? She thought, heart racing. What else could upend her carefully laid plans? With adrenaline surging, she steeled herself. The meeting was far from over, the ultimate test loomed ahead. A solid minute stretched in silence, a weighty pause thick with uncertainty. Sarah's heart pounded in her ears. Mr. Jenkins's gaze remained steady, scrutinizing her, the proposal, and perhaps even her resolve. just when she thought he might respond, the newcomer stepped closer, casting an imposing figure that seemed to suck the warmth from the room. A sharp, tailored suit, ostentatious wristwatch, and commanding presence marked him as someone powerful. He exuded confidence yet carried an air of impatience as if he had places to be and people to impress. "Mr. Jenkins," the stranger said smoothly, cutting across the tension that hung in the air. "I didn't expect to find you here." His voice was smooth, almost predatory. He turned his attention to Sarah, inspecting her with a knowing smirk. "Ah, the infamous Sarah Ellis. I've heard about your quaint little café." Sarah felt a wave of heat rush to her cheeks, stung by the unexpected spotlight. "And you are?" she managed, maintaining a steady tone despite the tumult brewing inside. "Benjamin Hawk," he introduced himself, leaning slightly closer as if to create an invisible barrier around the meeting. "I own several local businesses, and I've been keenly interested in this establishment." He gestured vaguely around, his expression half contemptuous, half curious. The air shifted, a reminder that for all her recent growth, she now stood before someone wielding power with a flourish. "Ah, the step between the barista and the banker," Mr. Jenkins quipped, breaking his stoic demeanor just a fraction. "But I'm afraid this discussion is about Sarah S.'s proposal, not yours." Ben's piercing blue eyes locked onto Sarah again. "But why would you want to change anything? I've built my image on tradition, and trust me, people prefer the devil they know." Beneath the surface of his smooth confidence, Sarah sensed a challenge. She could feel the moment teetering, ready to cascade into chaos or crystallize into clarity. Each breath filled with an electric energy, her mind raced, spiraling through doubts and possibilities. "I believe that change is vital," she countered, forcing the tremor from her voice. "Sticking to the familiar leaves us stagnant, while innovation breathes life into an establishment." Mr. Jenkins appeared taken aback momentarily but then smiled, clearly enjoying the back and forth. Benjamin raised an eyebrow, though a flicker of intrigue glinted behind his otherwise indifferent facade. "What kind of innovation?" he prompted, leaning back, fingers steepled thoughtfully. It was a theatrical move, an invitation to further entangle herself in debate. Sarah inhaled deeply, her clamoring heart steadying as she recognized the importance of the moment. She shifted her focus from defense to engagement. "By leveraging the desires of our community, we can attract not just coffee drinkers but those who seek a conscious experience." She paused, making sure not to break eye contact with Benjamin. "Imagine hosting local events that reflect our values, fostering a space that connects people to their resources, while championing local suppliers." "Cute," Benjamin smirked, unfazed. "But don't you think the appeal of your cafe is its charm? Altering that could risk alienating your base." "You'd be surprised," she fired back immediately, her confidence igniting like flammable gas. With each word emerged a deeper resolve. Innovation doesn't mean abandoning charm, it's about enhancing it. It's not just coffee, it's curated experiences. Connecting people to their stories. People return for more than just taste, they crave connection. Mr. Jenkins' expression shifted into something akin to admiration as he leaned in, a sign of support she hardly dared to expect. The world outside faded, her focus narrowed to the exchange, to this newfound test of her mettle. Benjamin's eyes narrowed, but something shifted behind them, perhaps grudging respect. "I might not buy into your idealism, but you're certainly persuasive." Just as relief nudged at Sarah's trembling heart, the door swung open once more. Curtains of rain began to pour outside, obscuring what had previously been a clear view, echoing the conflict within. "Let's table this for now," Mr. Jenkins said, gesturing for Sarah to hold her ground. "There's merit in your passion, but the real question remains, will this cafe be strong enough to withstand new winds?" Feeling the weight of anticipation, she swallowed her breath. This was no momentary battle. The storm was just beginning, and inside the cafe where her dreams brewed, clarity marked the path forward. As the thunder rumbled outside, Sarah understood that she stood at the precipice of her own storm. New provocations awaited, and it was clear that the only way forward was to confront everything that threatened to uproot her ambitions. What lay on the horizon would determine not just her proposal but who she was becoming. "Bring it on," she whispered, ready for the storm ahead. The tension lingered in the room, thick as the storm brewing beyond the glass. Sarah's adrenaline surged, heightening her senses. Mr. Jenkins's lingering gaze offered a flicker of assurance. He recognized something in her, the determination to press forward. Meanwhile, Benjamin's smirk had morphed into a fleeting frown, an acknowledgement of her resolve but more so a challenge to his authority. As the rain pattered relentlessly against the windowpane, a whirlwind of thoughts clashed within her. Winning this debate was now more than just securing funding, it was about affirming her vision and, ultimately, her identity. She couldn't let anyone, least of all someone as intimidating as Benjamin Hawk, extinguish the fire of her ambition. "Let us take a step back," Sarah suggested, her voice unwavering despite her turbulent emotions. "I understand that change can be threatening." She paused, allowing the weight of her words to settle in. "But I don't think it needs to be." Raising an eyebrow, Benjamin leaned forward, intrigued. "And how do you propose to bring your community along on this journey of change? They'll need more than your strong words." Encouraged by his engagement, Sarah refined her pitch, recalling the whispered hopes shared over coffee and pastries. "We build on the essence of community. Implement workshops that highlight local artists. Collaborate with nearby entrepreneurs to share their stories, integrating live performances into our space. Our cafe could reflect local culture instead of existing merely as a quaint distraction." Benjamin regarded her closely, his expression now a mix of curiosity and skepticism. "What makes you think they would embrace that?" "People fear losing what they love. There's risk in progress." "Yes," she admitted, the weight of their discussion shifting the ground beneath her. "But there's also potential for connection and growth, something they are likely to crave as well." She spoke with conviction, feeling her initial hesitation melting away. Small changes can create a larger ripple. Suddenly, Mr. Jenkins interjected, "Sarah, do you think you're ready to navigate these waters? This isn't just about selling coffee anymore." His words felt like both a warning and an encouragement. "Yes," she affirmed, clenching her fists lightly under the table. "But I need to prepare." "You wouldn't be the first to take a leap of faith," Benjamin remarked, his tone more contemplative than derisive. "But faith won't save you alone, you will need a strategy and a clear understanding of your risk profile." The wheels in Sarah's mind turned steadily. "I recognize that. If I want to innovate, I need to see every potential obstacle as a stepping stone rather than an end point." "That's commendable," Benjamin replied, the veneer of skepticism beginning to form cracks. "But words won't keep your doors open. What happens when life throws a tempest at your well-laid plans? How will you adapt?" She absorbed his scrutiny, her grit hardening. "That's precisely why I need to remain agile. I must learn to see trends before they emerge. Data-driven decisions, continual education in business management, and exploring alliances. I won't shy away from difficulties. Instead, I will thrive on them." "Our industry is rife with risks," Benjamin warned, yet there was admiration tinted in his tone. "Perhaps I underestimated you, Sarah. But can you handle the pressure when everything begins to unravel?" Eager and invigorated, she nodded, "You'll see just how strong this cafe can be under pressure." As another thunderclap resonated through the room, a realization struck her like a bolt of lightning: the stakes had just escalated significantly. What began as a simple proposal had morphed into a challenge for her very identity, demanding she confront not just external obstacles but internal fears. Sarah stood resolute, the storm pooling outside now mirroring her surging determination. She understood that to truly grow, she had to embrace the unpredictable nature of this journey. "Consider me ready," she said, refreshing her resolve. The door creaked open again, bringing in a gust of wind that rattled the laden table. Sarah turned to see a bright face behind the obscured view of gray clouds. Her heart raced as the figure approached, recognition blossoming a potential game-changer had just stepped into the fray. "Sarah, you'll want to meet someone who can elevate this conversation further," Mr. Jenkins announced, his demeanor shifting once more. The stakes were about to rise dramatically, and she sensed a crossroads before her. What lay ahead would either shatter the foundations she had built or lay the groundwork for the empire she envisioned. The door swung open fully, revealing a tall figure cloaked in a tailored overcoat, the edges of his attire hinting at wealth and authority. He stepped into the room, exuding an air of confidence that was hard to ignore. Sarah's heart raced, the knowledge that opportunity often looked like risk pulsing in her veins. The sudden shift in the atmosphere knocked her momentarily off balance, but she quickly regained her composure. "Sarah, this is Nathaniel Brooks," Mr. Jenkins introduced, his tone laden with gravity. "He happens to be an investor with a keen interest in community-based initiatives." Sarah's mind raced. This was the moment she had been waiting for, and yet, the gravity of it sent ripples of anxiety through her. Nathaniel's piercing gaze locked with hers, assessing, processing. "It's a pleasure," he said, his voice smooth as the espresso she prided herself on crafting. "I've heard quite a bit about your vision for this café." There was a flicker of genuine interest behind his words, mingled with the challenge of someone who had climbed the heights of failure and success. "Thank you," she managed, struggling to contain her nerves. "I'm passionate about creating a space that not only serves coffee but also builds community ties through culture." He leaned back, an enigmatic smile hinting at the corners of his mouth. "A noble pursuit. But reaching your audience is one thing, sustaining their interest is another." Their exchange was weaving the very fabric of her ambitions into the brewing storm. She no longer felt like an outsider in her own dreams, the narrative was shifting. "Exactly," Sarah replied, no longer hesitant. "I believe that using local talent and collaboration will draw people in, making them stakeholders in the experience." "Stakeholders," he echoed, his brow raised as if he were pondering the concept. "That's an intriguing approach. But how will you navigate funding, particularly if you're focused on art and culture?" "That's a slippery slope in terms of profitability." The unrelenting pressure of his scrutiny threatened to crush her budding confidence. A flicker of doubt dared to creep in, but she quickly silenced it. Every successful venture has faced skepticism, it's how they respond that matters. "I'm prepared to map out our funding strategy. We'll apply for grants while honing a loyalty program to keep customers engaged." Nathaniel nodded slowly, a thoughtful expression crossing his features. "And how adaptable are you? The market will shift, it's inevitable. What will you do when those loyal customers stop coming?" His question loomed large. The weight of realization struck her, this was no time for complacency. The road ahead was strewn with unpredictability, and she needed to cultivate resilience. "I will keep my finger on the pulse of trends. I will listen to my patrons, genuinely listen," she declared, envisioning those conversations over steaming lattes. "Adaptations won't just be reactive, they will be a part of our DNA. We'll always seek to improve." There was a flicker of admiration in Nathaniel's eyes, softening that sharp edge they held before. "That's a strong answer. But are you willing to do the hard work? It could mean sacrificing your personal time, facing rejections, and overcoming failures." Sarah paused, the gravity of his words sinking in. "I'm ready for that. I understand what's at stake. This is about more than just a cafe. It's about building a legacy that resonates with people." His smile broadened, revealing a hint of approval. "You know, I wasn't certain what to expect when I walked in here. But if you're serious about this, the potential investment could be the catalyst you need." The weight of his offer hung in the room, sparking between them. A surge of hope pulsed within her, but it was tempered by the awareness that every partnership required unyielding trust, and that trust would take time to forge. "Thank you, Nathaniel," she replied, holding his gaze with a newfound strength. "But I want rush. Building this foundation is as important as funding it." As the rain intensified outside, a quiet determination settled in her heart. She was no longer merely reacting to challenges, she was constructing her vision with deliberate intent. The flicker of possibility ignited a fire within her, but as they continued their dialogue, another thought lingered on her periphery. What if the deeper she ventured into this world of entrepreneurial risk, the more she stood to lose perhaps her own credibility or vision? I need to know more, she thought, the urgency to uncover the right path coursing through her. With their conversation hanging in the air thick with possibility, Sarah felt the path forward shifting beneath her feet. Stepping into her power had only opened more doors, but it was a powerful realm rife with choices that could redefine her journey entirely. As she caught Nathaniel's eye again, a new realization dawned upon her. Was she ready to confront the uncharted territories of her own ambition, or would her fear once again place a shadow over her bright aspirations? The months that followed were filled with intense labor and unforeseen challenges. Sarah's proposal had transformed into an actionable plan, infused with the voices and perspectives of her community. Rather than merely replicating a generic café model, she woven together a tapestry of local culture, art displays, community workshops, and events that celebrated the unique essence of her neighborhood. Through her diligence, Sarah cultivated relationships with local suppliers, bringing fresh and ethically sourced ingredients into the café. The atmosphere shifted, patrons began to feel the allure of change, and foot traffic increased as word of mouth spread. In a significant turn, the café started hosting local artists and musicians, their talents showcased alongside the rich aromas of coffee, creating a communal heartbeat that resonated throughout the space. Demar Jenkins, initially hesitant, became an ally as he watched Sarah flourish. The spark of her vision started to ignite a similar passion within him. The café's metamorphosis re-established it as a cornerstone of the community, showcasing not just quality coffee but also fostering an environment teeming with creativity. One evening, as the café bustled with laughter and music, he turned to Sarah, his eyes warm with gratitude. "You've done something remarkable, Sarah. The café feels alive again," he admitted. That affirmation washed over her like sunlight, illuminating her journey of growth. Encouraged by the café's renewed spirit, her confidence solidified. Sarah ventured into unfamiliar territory, presenting the success of their transformation to potential investors. The project she once feared to undertake was now laden with promise, backed by evidence of her community's engagement and support. She was met with both excitement and skepticism, but what once stirred apprehension in her heart now propelled her forward. "This isn't just about coffee, it's about redefining community interaction," she pitched passionately. Within minutes, the glimmers of curiosity among investors began to shift into unabashed interest. They recognized the unique approach she was advocating, the tangible impact it could have beyond profit margins. Months later, she found herself sitting at a sleek conference table across from Nathaniel Brooks, whose initial skepticism had morphed into interest. "You've carved a niche, Sarah," he stated, his voice revealing that spark of admiration she'd longed to see back in their start. "The metrics support your initiatives. If we were to partner, it would not only be an investment in a café but in an evolving cultural hub." She nodded, the weight of her hard work filling her with pride. "I've had the privilege to turn dreams into action, and I have no intention of stepping back now. Growing is a shared journey." It was clear now, Sarah had transformed from a mere barista into a voice of innovation and resilience, crafting not just a café but a narrative of her own design. A year after forging that pivotal alliance, the café was thriving, positioning itself as a community beacon. Sarah had not only redefined her role, she had established herself as a leader within her sphere. With solidified confidence, she took calculated risks, transforming moments of vulnerability into platforms for growth. She learned to navigate challenges with a newfound agility, demonstrating that every storm can catalyze change. On a bright afternoon, as she stood behind the counter, watching familiar faces fill the seats, Sarah realized she had achieved more than she had ever envisioned. The amalgamation of her community's dreams and her ambitions etched a legacy each day, brewed right beneath her hands. The café had blossomed into a thriving testament of connection, leaving behind the fear and insecurity that once clouded her vision. Sarah took a deep breath, savoring the aroma of fresh beans. She smiled, embracing the individual journey that led her here. It was a journey toward empowerment and recognition. No longer merely a barista, she had become the architect of her destiny, with a legacy that would inspire future generations. Now it was time to celebrate that victory. As patrons filled the cafe that evening, she stood firm in her purpose, ready to take the next step. The future lay ahead, ripe with potential, begging to be shaped further. One thing was clear: she had conquered her fears, embraced change, and found her place. This is not just a personal success, it's a shared journey. Support our story and others like it. Subscribe now to our channel to experience the next chapter of emotional growth and triumph. Leave a like for the algorithm to ensure these narratives reach those who need them most. Comment your thoughts and theories about Sarah's incredible journey below. Don't wait even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who must witness this inspiring conclusion. Your actions fuel these stories of resilience and creativity.